Marco in Holland, who wants to know if God was based on lack of knowledge and natural phenomena, why are there still believers? Hey, Marco, how's it going?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing good.
Okay. Yeah, the question I had was basically, at least from my understanding, as you guys explained before, in the old days, people saw lighting, didn't know what it was, and basically came up with a God explanation. And at some time, that lighting was explained scientifically, but new questions came up, and I think people use them to believing, and I don't exactly understand why people do that.
Well, I mean, I think that it's not just about trying to explain natural phenomena. I think for most people, their religious views, it's a membership card and an identity card. And it doesn't really, for most people, for I shouldn't say most, for a huge number of people, I think even if you come up with, it's a lot of us atheists, when we look at religious people and we try to explain to ourselves why they believe what they do, we are doing a little bit of a projection, because we look at ourselves and we are, a lot of us are people who are trying to have beliefs that it's a reflection of objective reality as close as it could be, and we assume that other people are trying to do the same thing. But a lot of people, their beliefs, they choose their belief, or they have their beliefs because it gives them membership to the community that they are in, and it's an identity. It also gives them a sense of identity. It's their identity card. So if they change their belief, it's not just changing their view of the world. It also means that they now no longer belong to that community, and that is pretty scary. And also how they see themselves, the identity that they had, all of a sudden we're stripping that away from them, and that's also very scary. That's why many people hold on to their beliefs. It's not because they're answering questions like, oh, how did the world came about? Okay, this gives me the answers. They're like, no, I have these beliefs because this is the belief of my people, and I am one of those people.
And the other side of that is, like with the Catholic Church says that, science is figuring out how God did it. And so no matter what science comes up with, God is at the root of it, right? So, yeah, we now know how lightning works, but that doesn't, God set that process in place, right? He created the universe. So everything that happens is because of him. That's kind of the Catholic, and a lot of people do that or have that belief as well. So they're looking at science and going, science is just explaining how God does things. And that's how they get around it. And then you've got, of course, the evangelicals who
reject any science that disagrees with their Bibles. So you've got those folks as well. Yeah, I understand I would say I understand the mechanism where I would say if you are afraid of losing your membership, are you really a believer, or are you just desperate to get into a club? The one thing I think about
Marco, just a second. We're all desperate to be in a club. Okay, this is how the human brain mostly operates. Okay, we're social animals. It's one of our basic needs to be included in a club, and that's why a lot of atheists don't understand that if they want to convince people out of religion, it's not just about showing them why these arguments don't make sense. You have to provide alternative communities. You have to provide alternative identities. I mean, not necessarily it doesn't have to be atheist communities or atheist identities, but there has to be alternative communities and alternative identities for people, or else it's just too hard. We're emotional creatures. You can't expect us to just be purely logical. We are emotional creatures, animals, and one of our emotions that is very, probably one of the most important ones is our ego, is our self of, it's the way how we see ourselves, from the eyes of other members of our species. It matters to us so much. In fact, once our basic needs are met, nothing matters to us more than how the other members of our tribe see us. This is not just about religious people. This is about humans in general.
Yeah, okay. And maybe because I'm from Holland and the level of religion here is far lower than I would say in America. And I'm listening to your show, and so my perspective as in America, it's predominantly Christian in some sorts. So from that perspective, I now understand, okay, if everybody around you is Christian, then it's more difficult. And here it's very rapidly declining. So maybe my perspective is not correct from let's say the membership point of view.
Yeah, and Australia's got the same issue there with Christianity that we do in some ways, and yeah, it's a cultural thing, and that is always a problem when you've got to fight culture as well as ideas.
Yeah, and I have one other question that maybe because I love you guys, all of you, but you are very into the religion as an atheist. One of the things, and I think I was quite young, but what I realized is that I would say all religions all over the world have a solution for death. And for me, that was the common denominator for all religions, whether you reincarnate or go to heaven, go to whatever place, go to your ancestors. Every religion has a solution for that. And what I don't understand is that, let's say, people don't see that in general as, okay, and basically I think you take a similar argument and saying, okay, you are atheist for all other beliefs except your own. And I would say the same is for, I would say, the death solution. All religions have a death solution, which might not be similar to your religion, but why is that? And I think that's also the inability of man to imagine what happens when you're dead. And if you're not able to imagine it, then you fill it in.
I don't think it's necessarily a solution. I just think, like, when it comes to evolutions of memes, the ones that manage to provide a lot of reward at a point where you cannot see whether or not you get the reward, and you cannot come back to claim that you have not gotten the reward. It was just such a useful meme, it just for the survival of that meme, it just did so much that it's not a solution for us. It's really a solution for that religious meme to survive. It just makes sense for why, when it comes to taking advantage of what motivates humans, providing a lot of reward, but promising a lot of reward, but making sure that the reward period is at a time that you're too dead to claim it. It just makes, because when it comes to different political systems or different rulers having to motivate people, they actually have to provide real rewards. This is obviously a perfect solution for a meme to get the maximum benefit out of the members of that tribe without needing to provide the material rewards for the members of that tribe. So it's not really a solution for the individual, it's a solution for the survival of that religion.
Yeah, but it's been around in any religion. If you do,
because it works. Because it works for the survival of that religion. It's just such a powerful tool for the religion to survive. Because that's why it has been there for every religion. It's just too powerful not to use.
Yeah, okay. It's not a solution. It's a tool.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a tool. It's a very effective tool.
yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Well, there's a part of me that sometimes thinks that some of religion gets started because a 3-year-old asked too many questions and a parent got tired of answering. And so they came up with a story to give an answer and to shut the child up. And I think for something like all of the heavens and afterlife is so that you don't have to tell a child the truth about reality and that people died and you'll never talk to them again. Which is, again, a very parent thing to do to their children. I have nothing to back that up. That's just me, spitballing an idea that I sometimes think about. Parents wanting to protect their children and doing so with a story, and that story gets believed and passed on and passed down until it becomes part of what we now call a religion. There's probably a small drop of truth in that, but I wouldn't give it any more than that. But it's something else to think about, I think.
That's a good one. I honestly think that's I'm not sure. I haven't had similar discussions with my children, but I can understand the explanation you give.
But Marco, I just want to add something else that I think about a lot. It might not be what you asked for. It's a bit futuristic and science fiction, but because I think about it, I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to mention this, okay? I'm going to use the word if, so people don't accuse me of saying, like, you don't know this is going to happen. Yeah, if, okay? If at some point the humans figure out how to defeat death, okay? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if we at some point get to a point where death is not reality anymore, and we have figured out a way to defeat it, right? Then, if that is a possibility, then the belief in an afterlife has been one of the most costly beliefs ever imagined. Just focusing on this, because we have been satisfied with the idea that we're going to live forever anyways. So this solution of actually defeating death has now been delayed by so many years, something that was achievable because we didn't have the motivation to get it, because we were satisfied, because we're going to live forever anyways. And so many people that ended up dying did not need to have died, could have lived forever, but because of that delay, they're now dead. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. I would say my personal question. Well, my personal idea is, at least, I don't want to live forever.
Yeah, but you get, but yes. But that would be an option. Like, maybe one day that would be an option. Like, I think people who don't want to live forever shouldn't live forever, but people who might want to should have that option at some point.
Well, I would. That's maybe another topic, but for me, if I look at how populated the Earth already is, I would say people should die because we're running out of space.
The problem is the other way around. I'm not going to get into that topic, but we're not suffering from overpopulation. We're suffering from underpopulation, but that's a different topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thanks,
Marco.
You shove up my ideas, which I like, and I have a different perspective now. That's good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Some of my.
Yeah. So how do you get we're underpopulated?
Well, I mean, it's country by country, but in most countries right now, so this idea of overpopulation is showing to be a myth. If you actually look at the studies, there are specific countries that are suffering from overpopulation, some poor countries, but most countries, their economic development is actually shown to be both correlated and caused with having a very young working population. So if the problem is not just the the number in population is also the demographics of the population. So any population that is declining in number is going to have more old people that are not working, that are costly to the economy of the country, that you need to spend money on them. But if any population that is increasing is basically has a working, productive demographic that is also adding to the tax revenue and also producing a lot more. So every country's economy is working, is growing faster if they have a growing population. So if you actually look at countries right now, countries like Japan, China, South Korea, many European countries, they're very, very much, their problem right now, their economy is devastated because of not having enough people. It's not because they have too many people. China has learned this the hard way, that they need to actually increase their population, not reduce their population. Japan and South Korea are devastated right now. They're trying to increase their population. Their economy is going to suffer a lot if they kind of come up with a solution for this. Even in Africa, countries like a lot of the countries that are growing is because they have a high population. Like, for example, Nigeria has a huge population, and that's working in their advantage because they have a very young demographic. So yeah, and look at Europe. Europe is now desperate to find a way to increase their population in their countries. So it's a myth. A lot of people think overpopulation is bad for the economy and progress. It's actually the other way around.
Yeah, and I know we could produce a lot more food than we do, especially if it wasn't for capitalism. But yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to look into that quite a bit. But you're talking about wanting to live forever, and I was remembering the TV show Altered Carbon, which deals with that topic somewhat tangentially, where it's only the rich who can do it, and it's only the super rich who can continue to keep buying the technology it takes to live forever in the same body, even, because it's all very expensive. And that if we get to that point, we need to make sure that it's not just the rich who get to do it; it's whoever needs to or wants to. So
I think technology's prices. I think I don't believe that premise from that show. I think technology at first, only in initial phases, is going to be so expensive that the rich could afford it. I think technology has a habit of reducing in price very, very, very fast. Like when smartphones came, like only rich people could afford it, but right now it just the drop in the price is just so fast, and I think it's going to speed up. Like technologies. With AI, with all these other advancements, whatever technology that we come in, it's only going to be the initial phase that rich people could only afford.
Right. Except that we're looking at the medical costs skyrocketing and going up more and more rather than coming down despite technology. So it'd be interesting. Yeah. The future could be interesting on that one way or the other, because we both have, I think there are two very valid points. Technology makes things cheaper, and giving people more access makes companies richer. On the other hand, we see medical technology and medical services skyrocketing, at least in this country. So
that's the point. That's the thing in that country, because of the way things are structured. Not because that's not worldwide. The prices are dropping for things. So it's like that's just a U.S. centric experience.
Yeah, probably very true. We have one last. I don't know if it's two or one. I'm going to assume that it is one. Michael Bell, member 1 month, who gave us $2, says mythicism or no. My answer is I don't really care. We have the same problem whether Jesus was a myth or not. Does it change the reality we're dealing with today at all? What do you think, Armin?
Right. I mean, because I'm not an expert, I'm just going to appeal to credible authority. And based on what I have seen, most non-religious Bible scholars think that the stories are based on something that happened. There was a guy. So almost everything that has been said about the guy, and everything that is claimed that the guy has said, seems to be just made up. Like the vast majority of it is being made up. But most biblical scholars think that there was an initial person that started the stories. So I'm just going to appeal to credible authority.